Good morning, NAS kids. Summer of Science series continues. We've only got a few weeks left and then we'll be saying goodbye to summer. So here's our first August Summer of Science activity. Now it was a tricky one and I was quite challenged by it, so we'll hope that it works. Today's theme is "It pays to be patient," and our verse comes from Proverbs 19:11. So Proverbs 19:11 says, "A man's wisdom gives him patience. It is to his glory to overlook an offense." Very important verse probably for today's world. A lot of people don't overlook that offense or transgression very easily, and we are not slow to anger, but rush to become very angry and frustrated in today's world. And so today we're going to talk about how patience can be shown in several ways. So this includes an understanding attitude, a listening ear, wise counsel, forgiving others. And King Solomon in this reminded us in Proverbs 19:11 that patience is a sign of wisdom and maturity. It's a sign that you're growing up and you're becoming a more responsible Christian and person in today's world. So even in Old Testament times, patience was often lacking among the people. And in our modern world today, we see that all around us. Unfortunately, we can see how people are losing their patience and losing their control very quickly. If you just watch the news, you will see how our own emotions are starting to take over for our behaviors. And it's really sad that we're filling the very few days we have on earth with all of this unnecessary anger and impatience. And honestly, these emotions are just super unhealthy for our body and our mind. And so today, our experiment is going to help us look at how the Lord is our example of patience. And ever since the Bible starts, God is constantly talking about being patient, patiently waiting for us. There's many examples in the Bible. And we need to be showing patience toward others. And we can reflect on God's love as we do that, and we treat others around us with patience. So in this activity, we're going to kind of try to illustrate the ruin that will happen from haste. And haste is rushing to a quick answer or a quick feeling. So we're going to use a paint stick or a thin stick that you could stir a can of paint with, and we're going to use newspaper today for today's experiment. Now, I did this experiment several times. It didn't work several times, and it did work a couple of times, but I didn't want to keep wasting my materials, so we're just going to go live and give it a whirl here. See what happens. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a stir stick or a paint stick, and I'm going to place it over the edge of the table. Mr. Weems, can you just look at the camera and make sure they can still see my experiment? Can they see what I'm doing right here? Okay. I'm going to have it hang over the table a little bit, and then I'm just going to take some newspaper. So this is just this week, and let's see here, the 2020 graduates in the paper here. And I'm just going to put them on there. Now, when I'm slow and respond slowly, I can lift the paper up and move it and have an effect on the newspaper with what I'm doing. Because what happens is it pivots off the edge of the table, creating a lever that kind of moves the newspaper. Okay? So now I am going to try to quickly push down on this stick. And what do you think is going to happen? What's your prediction? What's your guess? So my guess was that the newspaper will flip up and land somewhere else. And that did happen a couple of times. However, today we're going to illustrate, hopefully, that when we are quick and we rush to an answer, it can be devastating. So here we go. So slow. The stick just lifts the newspaper. All right, hopefully I don't hit the table this time, because I did do that. Oh, I'm nervous. Here we go. Oh, not yet. But the newspaper didn't fly, did it? Did you notice? Stayed right there. I'm going to try again. It worked! That was catastrophic to my paint stick. It didn't lift the newspaper. All it did was simply break the paint stick, snapped it. So this shows that when we practice patience and we are slow to respond, we have the effect we want. I could lift the newspaper and move it. But when I rushed and was swift, what happened? It just broke the stick. It broke my tool. It snapped it. So this actually shows something called the discrepant event. And it kind of seems impossible because the newspaper is so light, right? But the sudden upward force of the stick really fast, the air pressure actually created a force that pushed on the newspaper because it was trying to move so fast that it broke the stick, and the air pushed hard enough to snap it. So that kind of shows us that we need to be slow to anger. We need to be patient. A man who is slow to anger looks over transgressions. And once again, the Bible verse says, a man's wisdom gives him patience. It is to his glory to overlook an offense. So we have to be slower to anger, slower to react, and it will not be catastrophic and damaging, but it will be helpful, and we'll have more time to think about it and be able to make wiser decisions. So the science behind this: air pressure at the Earth's surface averages 14.7 pounds per square inch. So when I was striking that stick, there was 14.17 pounds of air pressure pushing against this newspaper, which resulted in the snapping of this stick. And air pressure also results in weight on Earth here. So I wish there was less air pressure, because then I would be lighter, wouldn't I? Living things that are here on Earth will often notice differences in air pressure, and this is just one activity where we can see how air pressure surrounds us all the time. So we used air pressure to demonstrate the importance of being patient, being slow to react, and being wise and mature in our decisions. I hope you have a great week. Could somebody come click pause on my recording? Have a good week. See you next week for the Summer of Science.